Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yep, what's good, original crew, man? We're back. Hey, man. Back with another visual today. Today's video, the worst jail deaths ever. You alright? Look like you about to tilt on over. Your arm.
What?
You. Thank you.
You're not welcome.
Hey. Make sure y'all check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go if you want to first support. All you gotta do is check it out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's video,
like it with a thumbs up.
I've heard some jail stories, y'all. Well, prison stories. You know what I'm saying? From my mama. And I'm working at the prison. If by all means necessary, if you can stay out, stay out. Ain't that right? Mm-hmm. But hey, let's go. Let's check this out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Lay Alama Conde. Imagine being held down in a police station while someone pushes a tube through your nose and into your stomach. Then a burning liquid is poured inside you to make you vomit. This is what happened to Lay Alama Conde, an asylum seeker from Sierra Leone who was living in Germany. In December 2004, police arrested him because they suspected he was selling drugs. They thought he had swallowed small packets of cocaine to hide them, and instead of waiting for the drugs to pass out of his body naturally, the police called a doctor to force him to vomit. The doctor used a strong medicine, which makes people throw up. To give it to him, they pushed a long tube down his nose. Conde fought against the procedure and kept swallowing his vomit. Because of this, liquid went into his lungs, and even though this was very dangerous, the procedure was repeated several times.
Wow.
After a while, foam started to come out of his mouth and nose. He collapsed, and paramedics had to bring him back to life before taking him to the hospital,
Wow.
but he never woke up again.
Wow.
Conde went into a coma, and about 10 days later, he died. The doctor said the official cause of death was cerebral hypoxia, which means that his brain was badly damaged because it did not get enough oxygen. He had basically drowned after breathing in his own vomit. His death revealed a bigger problem. In the same city alone, police had forced more than 1,000 people to vomit drugs between 1991 and 2004, and a similar death had already happened in Hamburg in 2001. Finally, in 2006, the European Court of Human Rights ruled that this practice was torture. The doctor who carried out the procedure was ordered to pay Conde's family 20,000 euros. Abdul Wali. Abdul Wali was a 28-year-old Afghan farmer who went to a U.S. base after the local governor advised him to surrender.
28? No way. This ain't 28. More like 48. But that ain't 28. R.I.P. the first dude. God dang.
Facts.
Hey, just imagine, bro. That's terrifying, man.
He wanted to show that he had nothing to do with a rocket attack on that base and denied all involvement. However, instead of clearing his name, he was tortured to death while in custody. For 3 days, he was held as a prisoner, and a CIA contractor called David Pissarro took charge of questioning him. Soldiers later testified that Pissarro gave strict orders. Wally was not allowed to sleep. His food and water were really limited, and he was beaten over 2 nights. Witnesses said that he kicked him in the groin with his heavy combat boots so hard that Wally's body lifted off the ground. He slammed him onto the floor, hit his arms and legs with a heavy Maglite flashlight, and even shoved the flashlight into his stomach. At some point, the beating broke Wally's pelvis. This left him unable to urinate, which caused him even more terrible pain. By the second night, Wally was no longer pleading for mercy. He was begging to be killed. Soldiers remember him moaning, "I'm dying." And on the 4th day, he did die. At first, the death was reported as a heart attack, but later evidence showed that the beatings were the real cause. Pissarro became the first and only person linked to the CIA ever convicted for abuse after 9/11. At first, prosecutors charged him with several serious crimes that could have meant decades in prison, but in the end he was found guilty of 1 count of assault, causing serious injury, and 3 counts of simple assault. He received a sentence of just 8 years and 4 months, which was later reduced to 6 years and 8 months. A judge even told him that if an autopsy had been done, he might have been charged with murder. Darren Rainey.
Wow.
You talking about how to get away? Boy, that's crazy. All he was charged was assault.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all should have charged him with the appropriate. Man, hell no, bro. That man literally beat the man.
His last hours were spent locked in a prison shower that was turned into a torture chamber. The 50-year-old, who suffered from schizophrenia, was being held at Dade Correctional Institution in Florida and was supposed to serve a short 2-year sentence for cocaine possession. One night, after he smeared feces in his cell, guards took him to a special shower in the prison's psychiatric ward. The pipes had been changed so that prisoners inside had no control over the water temperature. What happened next was horrific. The water blasting down on Rainey reached as high as 160 degrees Fahrenheit. He begged to be let out, but he was trapped inside for almost 2 hours. When guards finally opened the door, he was lying on his back, dead. His body was covered in patches of burned skin, with second and third degree burns over more than 30% of it. Paramedics later said his skin peeled away at the touch. Photos from the scene even showed bruises on his hands, likely from him pounding on the shower door as he tried to escape. Even with these shocking details, accountability was slow. For 2 years, officials gave no clear explanation for his death, and 2 of the officers on duty were even promoted. Other prisoners later revealed that Rainey was not the first to suffer this punishment. At least 8 others in the psychiatric unit had been forced into the same shower. Only after the Miami Herald exposed the case and human rights groups demanded answers did an investigation begin. The prison's warden was fired, but no one faced criminal charges. In 2016, the medical examiner called Rainey's death accidental, blaming a mix of confinement, his health problems, and his mental illness, while ignoring the obvious fact that he had been trapped under boiling water. His family sued, and at least they eventually received a $4.5 million settlement. Dilawar was a young African.
But it still don't bring him back, bro.
Not at all. Only supposed to be serving 2.
Shower for 2 hours? Yo, in boiling water.
That's evil. Y'all know.
Man. I couldn't fathom to go through that.
I couldn't do it.
Afghan taxi driver who happened to pick up the wrong passengers at the wrong time. He was driving 3 men home when an Afghan militia stopped his car at a checkpoint near a U.S. base that had been attacked earlier that same day. Inside the car, they found a broken walkie-talkie and an electrical stabilizer. Without real evidence, they handed Dilawar and his passengers over to American soldiers. This turned out to be the end for him. At the Bagram Detention Center, Dilawar was tortured. Guards chained his wrists to the ceiling of his cell for long periods, leaving him hanging until his shoulders came out of their sockets. He was denied sleep, forced to wear a hood, shoved into walls, pulled by his beard, and kicked in the groin. Soldiers stomped on his bare feet and slammed his chest against tables. Worst of all, his legs were beaten again and again with what the soldiers called peroneal strikes. These were powerful blows just above the knee, designed to cause intense pain. Dilawar endured more than 100 of them, and by the time he died, his legs were so destroyed that even if he had survived, doctors said they would have had to cut them off. They described them as pulpified. On the day of his death, Dilawar had already spent most of 4 days chained to the ceiling. When guards tried to make him kneel, his legs would not bend anymore because of the repeated beatings. He was told he would see a doctor once questioning was finished, but instead, he was dragged back to his cell and hung up again. Hours later, when a medic finally checked on him, he had already passed away. What made it even more tragic was that U.S. interrogators later admitted many of them believed Dilawar was innocent. His passengers were later sent to Guantanamo and eventually released years later, with letters saying they were not a threat at all. The truth about Dilawar's death could not stay hidden. A leaked death certificate proved he had been killed by abuse, not by illness as the military first claimed. His story later became the center of the Academy Award-winning documentary Taxi to the Dark Side, which revealed the horrors that took place inside Bagram. Some soldiers were investigated, but the punishments were light: short jail terms, rank reductions, and official letters of reprimand. No one was ever convicted of murder, and Dilawar never got to come back home to his wife and baby daughter. Nicolaus Contreras.
That's so sad.
Just, I can't put myself in that place, bro.
To do something
To
like
go through that much torture.
That's sad, man.
And then even the passengers that he was driving, they're gone swept
still
for
here,
years. No, I'm saying they sent away for years though. For something they ain't.
He was only 16 years old when his body finally gave out. Nick was sent to the Arizona Boys Ranch, a privately run boot camp for
Did we hear? Hold on.
body finally gave out. Nick was sent to the Arizona Boys Ranch, a privately run boot camp for troubled youth, hoping he could earn school credits and turn his life around. His health was already fragile when he arrived. He had asthma, and the higher elevation in Arizona made breathing harder. Soon he began showing clear signs of being sick: nausea, diarrhea, fevers over 100 degrees, spasms, etc. His pulse was racing. He lost weight quickly, and even his body gave off what staff described as a moldy odor. However, instead of giving him proper care, staff brushed him off, calling him a faker and a baby. Even his prescribed inhalers could not be used unless staff gave permission. As Nick grew sicker, the treatment from the staff only got worse. They forced him to keep doing harsh physical exercises, and if he faltered, they shoved or punched him. When he fainted, they threw water on him to force him up again. Often, he wasn't allowed to use the bathroom, so he lost control of his bladder and bowels. He soiled himself so often that his mattress was moved into the bathroom, and he was made to sleep there in his own filth. Staff forced him to carry his stained clothes in a trash can and do push-ups over it. At mealtimes, he had to sit on a toilet while eating, mocked in front of others. Staff even spread rumors to the other boys that he had AIDS. Nick tried to reach out for help. In his final phone call to his family, his grandmother remembered how he struggled to speak, coughed nonstop, and said, "Wanna die, wanna be with Dad. Too hard." Then, during yet another round of physical drills, Nick fainted several times, and instead of helping him, staff joked that he deserved an Academy Award for pretending. They forced him into push-ups, slammed him against a wall, and even made him act like an ambulance siren, while another boy pushed him in a wheelbarrow. By the afternoon, his body couldn't take it anymore, and he collapsed for the last time. When staff ordered him to get up, his final word was simply, "No," and 2 hours later, he was pronounced dead. Investigators later counted 32 different acts of abuse involving 17 staff members. The Los Angeles Times uncovered other reports of children at the ranch being burned, beaten, or seriously injured. Still, most of the staff escaped real punishment because of legal technicalities. Said Prison. Said Prison.
That's awful, bro. That is awful.
At 16.
Yup.
I wonder how long he was there. Did he say?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Just north of Damascus, became known by the name the Human Slaughterhouse. For decades, and especially during the Syrian Civil War, it was one of the most feared prisons in the world. Former inmates said Sednaya wasn't designed to hold people, but to break them. New arrivals were greeted with what guards called a welcome party. This meant hours of beatings with pipes, cables, and tank belts. Prisoners were blindfolded, dragged across the floor, kicked until they passed out, and left bleeding in piles. Survivors say they could identify guards just by the sound of their footsteps or the crack of their whips in the darkness. Detainees were hung by their wrists in painful positions, shocked with electricity, burned, and sometimes forced to rape each other. Guards used hinged boards called flying carpets to bend people backwards until their joints tore apart. Food was sometimes mixed with blood, and water was tainted with urine. Prisoners reported being forced to choose between saving their own life or killing a friend or relative. One Syrian lawyer later estimated that 3 out of every 4 prisoners who entered Sednaya did not come out alive. Straight-up secret executions were performed there as well. Amnesty International documented how groups of up to 50 people at a time were taken before a military field court. These so-called trials lasted only minutes, sometimes just seconds. The detainees were then led to underground chambers and hanged. Between 2011 and 2015 alone, Amnesty estimated that between 5,000 and 13,000 people were executed. Their bodies were carried away in trucks, sometimes stored in salt rooms, where rock salt was used to preserve them until they could be buried or hidden. In 2017, satellite photos and witness accounts led the U.S. State Department to accuse the Syrian government of building a crematorium at Sednaya to get rid of bodies and cover up evidence of mass killings. Prisoners freed during the collapse of Assad's regime in December 2024 recalled underground cells where men were kept in total darkness, surviving with bottles of urine for waste and thin, soaked blankets for warmth. Many had forgotten their own names after years of trauma. If you liked this video, subscribe for similar ones or join my Discord to suggest another.
That is so sad.
I will say that last one, we did do a video on that. YouTube won't allow us to put it out.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It is what it is. But we did a reaction. Someone actually went and visited It will be on Patreon, so y'all can go check that out on Patreon, man. Bro, I'm telling you.
Rest in peace to everyone that lost their lives as well.
If it ain't meant for you, please, 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 don't go. It ain't meant for nobody, but some people can. If you rather have your freedom, your peace, your sanity, please.
You talking about prison?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
be a law-abiding citizen, man. But hey, with that being said, y'all spam us up in the comments. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts down below for us. But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
we are.
Kid and
We are.
Ain't no time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar, 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 dollar. Let me watch out for my partner.